Am I wrong for telling my sister-in-law the reason no one came to her daughter's party? I, 23 female, am married to Jim, 26 male. Jim has an older sister named Danielle, 28 female. Danielle has a daughter, 2 female, with her ex John. We live 2,500 miles away from them, so we mostly just see each other on video calls. Jim is so close to John because they grew up together and therefore is close with John's family despite Danielle and him separating. 2 weeks ago, we got the news that John's mom, Mary, was sick again and that she was being put in comfort care. She's fought and beat cancer 3 times. Despite the devastating news, Danielle refused to reschedule their daughter's second birthday party. Jim, John, and both of their families tried to convince her to, but she didn't budge even though Mary was in her last days. Fast forward to 2 days ago, Mary passed away peacefully the night before the party. This was a huge loss to both John's family and Danielle and Jim since they all grew up together. Yesterday at the party, no one showed up who said they were coming except for John and a couple of Danielle's friends. Both sides of the family were grieving and making arrangements. Danielle called me after the party, upset about how no family came to celebrate her daughter's birthday. She said she felt forgotten, that no one even let her know they weren't coming, and that she was shocked as few people came. I was straightforward with her and told her that a party was the last thing on people's minds after a loss like that, and that she was informed 2 weeks earlier that she should reschedule. This upset her even more, and she ended up yelling and calling me heartless before hanging up. Jim told me that I didn't say or do anything wrong, but Danielle's friend has been sending me rude texts since then, calling me insensitive and cruel. It's making me question if I might have been an a-hole. How are people cruel and what do you call it? Yeah, cruel to her for not coming to a birthday party when somebody literally died. Somebody who's been struggling with cancer all those years just died and passed away, and you're saying that people are cruel because they didn't want to come to a birthday party that you can literally reschedule any other time? Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she should learn how to keep her legs closed? So I, 15, and my mom, 37 female, have never really had a great relationship. We have the same attitude, so us together doesn't really work out. Also, she's always getting herself into toxic relationships, which ends up affecting me and my sisters, 19 female and 9 female. A few months ago, my mom started seeing this guy, Fred, 45 male. At first, he seemed like a great guy, taking my mom out, buying her flowers, chocolates, etc. I liked him. He was nice. 2 months ago, I found a paper on our kitchen counter. I'm not really sure what they're called, but it was basically stating that my mom was putting in her 30-day notice to leave our apartment. I asked my mom about it, and she said that Fred wants us to move in with him and his 2 kids. However, she was asking me and my younger sister if we were okay with it. I said I didn't care, and my little sister said she didn't want to. My mom didn't listen to my little sister, so we ended up moving in with Fred. In the first week we moved in, Fred started showing his true colors, telling my mom what she was allowed and not allowed to do in his house. For example, no drinking in the house. He used to be an alcoholic. He didn't want my older sister visiting every day, etc., which caused a lot of arguments between them. Fast forward to today, Fred went out to run some errands and called my mom. He told her he was buying her a Princess Peach's costume for his friend's son's birthday party, which is a Mario Bros. Theme. My mom said there was no way in hell she was gonna wear that, so not to even bother to buy it. He kept insisting, and my mom kept saying no and hung up. He kept calling her, and my mom kept ignoring it. He kept calling, and my mom picked it up, and he was furious. He told her how dare she hung up on him. My mom said it's my phone and I can do what I want, and he told her, well, I bought it, which caused a huge argument. My sister's girlfriend and sister were there at the time. My mom told him that she has had enough of his bull and she wanted to leave, so she went to Walmart, bought some boxes to put out clothes and belongings in, called my aunt, and we packed everything and left. We moved in with my sister to their 1-bedroom apartment. I was so mad at my mom for putting us in this situation. I was already tired of my sister's girlfriend telling me that it's her house, so I had to follow their rules for the millionth time. I told my mom she better find us a place to live ASAP. She told me I should be grateful we had a roof over our heads, and we wouldn't be in this situation if we had told her we didn't want to move in with Fred. I was furious at that point and corrected her by saying if only she knew how to keep her legs closed and thought damn, with the ration and not us, we wouldn't be in this situation. So to stop blaming me and my sister for it, she slapped me and called me ungrateful B-word. My sister and cousins keep telling me that I crossed the line for basically calling my mom a HO, but I was tired of her blaming me and my sister for her bad decisions. So am I the a-hole for telling my mom she should learn how to keep her legs closed? You kind of are. Who talks to their mom like that? That's so disrespectful. But on top of that, like, I never really understood people who uproot their children for any small relationship that they're in. Like, she could have just kept her apartment because at the end of the day, this is a random man. You do not know his behaviors. You do not know how he is. You do not know how he's gonna, act towards your kids or just in general. She could have just kept dating him. If she wanted to spend nights at his house, she could have done that. But why did they have to move in? Clearly, it sounded like they already had an established place. Like, people who just, uproot their children for any small convenience is crazy to me. I do not know why. But anyway, OP is wrong. Slut shaming your mom is a bit crazy. In 2023, well, 2024, I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I wrong for telling my fiance to drop his best friend? My fiance, Mexican 24, and I, Black 21, have been together for almost 2 years now. We've known each other since I was a freshman in high school and reconnected back in 2020. He's had this best friend who we'll call B, 23 Mexican, since he was a freshman in high school. My fiance thinks B as a family because of how much stuff they went through together. Fast forward to my fiance and I first dating. He told his friends not to use the N-word around me as it's disrespectful, right? Well, my fiance introduced me to all his friends, B included, and B used the N-word profusely in front of me, knowing how I don't tolerate that. My fiance at the time laughed and said, I already warned him, so that being my first impression of him, I already didn't like him. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, my fiance was showing me something in his group chat with all of his friends. I see a text from B and it says, go hang out with your cotton picking wife while you eat rocks. I obviously confronted my fiance about this and he got pretty defensive about it. He said he was sorry B said that about me, but tried to basically back up B, saying things like, he always says stupid stuff, he doesn't mean it, it's how we joke around, he doesn't know what's wrong to say. Mind you, B is a grown man. Then my fiance tried to defend it again by saying, he's been my brother since high school when no one else wanted to be my friend, stuff like that. I explained to him that if my family or friends ever said something racist towards him, I'm dropping them without hesitation. He said he understood, but that he's known B longer than he's known me. My fiance said he dropped B as a friend. Only problem is they all played together on a game called FIFA. And if my fiance were to stop talking to B, then all his other friends might drop him. Basically, my fiance won't drop him because he's scared of losing friends. I genuinely don't know what to do in this situation. Update. Thank you to everyone leaving their opinions in the comments. I greatly appreciate you guys taking a minute to say something. Now I'm just trying to think how I can even bring these points up to him. The last couple of times I tried, he got pretty defensive and exploded. Started ranting about who I am to tell him who he can be friends with, how everybody around him hasn't supported him, how he's done everything for himself, even though I, his family, and friends have done so much. He did apologize for blowing up on me, though. Edit 2. Man, oh man, I'm recalling things he said to me when he blew up and it's hitting me like a train. I wish I could put all it here, but it would be a completely separate post at this point. I'll leave this here, though. When meeting his dad's side of the family for the first time, it started off fine, but then his uncle started getting pretty racist as well as the rest of his family. He cussed them out, corrected them, and had us leave. I was in shock how quickly it all progressed. His uncle is very against the N-word and racism allegedly, but became racist all of a sudden. In my fiance's rant, he said, why didn't you let me know I was doing the right thing? Most men would just let it happen and not stick up for their girl. I feel like I shouldn't have to let him know he did the right thing. Standing up to a racist and shutting them down seems like a common sense to me. It almost seemed like he wanted a pat on the back for it. Edit 3. We finally did it as of last night, guys. My fiance is now my ex. It's been a wild 2 years with him. We would have gotten married next month, actually. Just thought I'd let you all know. First of all, I'm so glad OP finally left that guy. Clearly, like, one thing about me is, like, people who stay with people who are racist towards them, I've never understood that concept, because now if you have children with that person, like say OP and her fiance were to get married, they were to have children, which they probably would have kids, and now your kids are going to be half of you, the race that the in-laws or whomever is coming from that side of the family doesn't like. Now all that hatred and disrespect will go into your innocent child or children. I don't understand. Like, besides, like, racism should be a deal breaker. And OP's husband, or whatever the hell he was to her, he sounded like, when to say, "Oh, I'm not racist," but to condone racism, it's crazy. Like, "Oh, I'm not racist, but my best friend can say racist stuff. Oh, I'm not racist, but my uncle can say racist stuff. Oh, I'm not racist, but whenever I stand up for you, you have to give me a cookie for doing the right thing. Like, why did you acknowledge that?" So I'm glad OP broke up with him. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I don't want to replace my husband the way she replaced my dad? I, 30 female, lost my husband 4 years ago. We share 2 children together. Our son is 9 and our daughter is 6. Since my husband's death, I have focused on myself and my children, and I have no interest in dating or finding another husband. My mom has experience with this, as when my sister and I were children, 6 me and 8 her, we lost our dad and mom remarried 15 months later. And at the time, she told us we were getting a new dad. Once her husband arrived in our lives, there was an expectation and a pressure to call him dad, and mom took down all photos of dad. Me and my sister took some photos of dad and hid them with our friends out of fear mom would destroy or throw them all away. She didn't. But the ones we didn't take were kept locked in the storage somewhere and have never seen the light of day. My sister asked for them on a few occasions and was told she didn't need them. Our dad's stuff is likely in there too. If they weren't tossed in the garbage, it caused a lot of strain between us and mom. For the last 2 years, my mom has been dropping hints that I should get back out there, and I always said I didn't want to or I would ignore it. Then a couple of months ago, she told me I need to get my kids a dad before it's too late, that I need a husband. I told her they have a dad and he doesn't need to be replaced. She dropped it for another few weeks, but then last week she brought up again. She told me that the kids need a dad and I need a husband around or I will be alone and lonely for the rest of my life. She told me I can't remain dedicated to being my husband's wife for the rest of my life. She said I'm too young and the kids are too young to never get another dad. I told her I don't want another husband and my kids don't need another dad. She asked me where I would be if she had that mindset and I didn't have a dad. I told her I lost my dad at 6 and miss him every day, and I never had another one. Things escalated from there and asked me how I could say that when her husband has been my dad for 24 years. I told her he never has been and never will be, and just because she replaced my dad doesn't mean I want to replace my husband. Mom was furious and told me that wasn't fair, and I should understand her better. I told her I understood her even less after losing my husband, because I would never remove all traces of him from the home, and I would never deny my kids his things the way she did. I would never force my kids to call someone else dad, and I told her I can't even imagine wanting to find them someone else to call dad. I told her they had an amazing dad and he's still their dad, just the way mine will always be my dad. She called me spiteful and selfish, and she went to my sister for backup, but she told her the way she feels the same way. My aunt, who is my mom's sister, told me I shouldn't have said what I did, and accusing her of replacing my dad instead of saying she just wanted us to be happy is cruel, and I'm old enough that I should understand. Am I the a-hole? I mean, there's nothing wrong with people getting remarried after their spouses die, but why would you want to try to replace the person that died, calling the person dad, removing all traces from the person who died? That's way too much. And wouldn't her wanting her children to be happy include her listening to what her kids want? Because I checked, they're actively saying they don't want this new man and they don't want traces of their dad who died, to be removed from the house. Like, I think wanting your children to be happy is listening to what they want. Am I wrong for not impregnating my high school crush? I, 37 male, am a single father to a beautiful girl 9 female. She is my pride and joy, and life is great with her. But she is the only one I'll ever have, as I have been snipped a few years ago. I don't really tell people about it. It's my own business. Not that I don't want any more children. I just don't want any more baby mamas. My daughter's mother and I have an amicable relationship, but it's taken a lot of work and emotional anguish to get here. I can't say that the next one will be as amicable, so I made the decision to get myself vasectomized. Maggie, 37 female, has been a crush of mine for the past 20 plus years. She's unmarried, no children, and works as a gymnastics instructor, which keeps her fit. She's just as beautiful as the girl I found over in high school. I've moved away while she's staying in her hometown, but we kept in touch and grown to be really good friends. She adores my daughter and comments frequently on how much my daughter has grown in the years with love, reacts, and emojis. Nothing out of the norm. I just took it as her being nice. A couple years back, I admitted my crush to her as I felt we were mature enough to be embarrassed by it or her make fun of it. She took it well, but we never pursued anything from it. That is until this last Christmas. My daughter and I flew home to spend the holidays with my family. My parents were ecstatic to see their granddaughter, and my brother's kids were happy to see their cousin. Maggie said that I was in town through social media and messaged me. We made a day for lunch when my parents were available to watch my daughter. We met at a coffee shop, and she threw her arms around me and put her head on her chest. High school me would have felt a little tight in the pants, but I just hugged her back. Coffee turned to dinner and turned into drinks. In the middle of drinks, the conversation turned intimate. She finally blurted out, "OP, put a baby in me." In between giggles and I laughed along. I took it as an invite back to her place, where we eventually ended up. I introduced Maggie to my daughter and they hit it off really well. I definitely felt this could sprout into a full relationship. My daughter isn't used to me dating as most of my time revolves around work and being a full-time father. She supported me pursuing Maggie and explained she can hang out with my parents and her cousins while I did my thing. We split the week between my hotel and her place. I flew back thinking we were going to be a thing for good. Last week, she called me sad, telling me she's not pregnant. We didn't always use protection. I asked if it was a good thing to get pregnant at the beginning of this relationship. She broke down to convince that her bio clock was ticking and just wanted to get pregnant. She chose me because of how beautiful my daughter is, but wasn't going to make me raise our child if I didn't want to. She has no intentions for a relationship. Am I the a-hole for not telling her about my procedure and can't give her a baby? First of all, LP needs to run as fast as he can. Second of all, when I be telling y'all on here that people just be having kids for any reason, this is what I mean. What do you mean you're gonna have a baby with a man because you think his daughter looks beautiful and your bio clock is ticking? Like, you don't know if this man is a good dad. You don't know anything, but you just want a baby. You have a desire to have a baby, and his daughter looks pretty. Lord, y'all just be doing any and everything. Am I wrong for kicking my 72-year-old mother-in-law out of the house at night because she threw away my things? I, 36, live with my husband, 41. I have a decent relationship with my mother-in-law. Compared to a lot of the horror stories I hear from friends, she's quite sweet and warm. She is, however, a little over-controlling. Overprotective, I'm not sure the exact word, but she has a very strong idea about things and no sense of boundaries. For example, when she stays at our house, she takes over the kitchen completely and insists cooking all our meals. I wish someone could do that for me, honestly. She cooks wonderfully, but she won't let me help her at all and puts everything away in the wrong places and then insists that her way is more logical. She only really comes for holidays though, and I do like her a lot, so I don't mind putting up with these mild annoyances. I'm currently pregnant with our little girl, who will be born in a few months. This is a miracle. I really didn't think it would happen, especially so late, but we got lucky. When my mother-in-law heard, she was super excited and said she would come over to help us get ready for the baby. She offered to stay for the next 6 months or so to help out. Because my husband and I both work long hours, it will be hard to handle the baby on top of this. She's also pretty emotional, invested in this, because she truly sees herself as part of our family. Well, isn't she, wait, what? I don't get it. Isn't she the husband's mother? So she is the family. She arrived a few days ago and set herself up. Then she started with cleaning. I like collecting things from garage sales and such. Things like little sculptures, books, and baskets. Stuff a lot of people would consider utter junk. Our house is definitely overstuffed, but it's reasonably tidy and doesn't seem like a hoarder's house or anything. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, likes everything surgically clean. Yesterday, I came home from work to find house like a war zone. She went through my cabinets and cleared out everything she considered junk, and had apparently made several trips to Goodwill before I got home. I was really angry and asked her why she would ever do this. She said the house has to be tidy for the baby, and that it would be dangerous for the baby to be in a cluttered house. Then she took the next huge bag of stuff and tried to walk out the door. I kind of lost it, and I told her she could get out right now. She was shocked that I was serious, and she said she doesn't have anywhere to go, and it's so late. It was about 9:30. I booked her a hotel room and called a taxi. My husband came home an hour later, and when I told him what happened, he was furious with me. He says I disrespected his mom and was ungrateful for everything she's trying to do for us. Am I the a-hole? You guys, what do you think? I feel like in a way, if I was pregnant and dealing with all pregnancy emotions and hormones or whatever the hell pregnant women deal with, and I had a long day at work and I came home and someone not only touched my things without my permission, but gave it away without my permission, I would have lost it. On the other hand, she is 72. Although old people be thinking they can do any and everything just because they're old and people are going to give them the excuse. But either way, like, what do you guys think? Am I wrong for suggesting my friend go back to therapy after how she reacted in a Chinese restaurant? So yesterday, me, 28 female, Jess, 27 female, and 3 other friends, mid to late 20s female, went to a Chinese restaurant. I'm Chinese. Jess is half Japanese Chinese, and the rest of my friendship group are Asian, if that's relevant. For context, Jess unfortunately was victim to a verbal racist attack when COVID first started. It was such an awful thing to happen, and I'm still mad about it. The incident traumatized her quite badly, and she went to therapy for a couple of years. We were getting seated, and there's a Caucasian man with his son, maybe 6, 8 years old. They smile at me, and I smile back. Anyway, our food comes, and the kid is curious, and I can hear him asking his dad, "What are those ladies eating?" The dad happily explains to his son the different kinds of seafood, like pipis and pork belly and noodle dishes we were eating. It was really clear that they weren't making fun of the food or us, and honestly, I thought it was cute that the kid was interested, but just started getting agitated. I asked her what was up, and she said she didn't like the way they were talking about us. Me and my friend tried to just say they were just talking about the food we were eating. Unexpectedly, as Jess is quite shy, she stood up and said to the dad, "This isn't a zoo, you know." Then she walked out, and some of us followed her out, and me and another friend apologized to the man and kid who were really shocked. Outside, we were trying to console Jess. She was adamant that the man was teaching his kids to be racist, but we were all trying to tell her that it wasn't like that, and she said we were invalidating her. This went back and forth with us trying to say the man and kid weren't being racist. Finally, in my effort to try to help, I suggested maybe Jess should... she probably shouldn't say that at that time. Anyways, I suggested maybe Jess should go back to therapy. Jess gave me a dirty look. I know it. Yeah, I'm telling you, she probably shouldn't say that. Anyways, called me a friend and left. A couple of my friends, although acknowledging that the way Jess reacted to the man and kid was abnormal, told me it wasn't my place to suggest that. But my other friend said that I wasn't wrong, and as her friend who cares about her well-being, I had a right to suggest that. Jess and I have been friends since high school, and I spent a great deal of time supporting her after the racist incident. Am I the a-hole? I feel like obviously it does sound like she needs to go to therapy because she's I feel like certain things we just can't heal from for a very long time because time does heal things, but at that moment she probably just shouldn't say that comment. She just needed to comfort her friend, talk to her and tell her, "Oh, the guy isn't being racist, they're not talking about us." Like, just say comforting words to give her reassure her. And then maybe another time when they're by themselves, maybe she should have said, "Hey, sweetie, I think you just need to go back to therapy because clearly you're not healed from, the incident that happened to you." But to blurt out that you need to go back to therapy when she's literally having a panic attack, hello. Who be teaching you guys how to comfort people? Anyways, what do you guys think? That'll be it for today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Am I wrong for saying I should have let my mom unalive herself since she's defending my sister, not me? I, 26 female, have recently found out my boyfriend, Robbie, 28 male, of 4 years, has been cheating on me with my younger sister, Allie, 25 female, for the past 6 months. He accidentally sent a text meant for Allie to me. It didn't have her name, but it sounded so strange with how we usually talk to each other. I grew suspicious and made the decision to go through his phone during the middle of the night while he was asleep. There, I found months of text exchange between them, flirting, sexting, planning dates, and making fun of me. I was furious, too pissed to go to sleep, and ended up confronting Robbie the moment he was coherent enough to understand what I was saying. Robbie admitted to cheating on me with Allie, not that I needed him to, and that it wasn't his fault, and he didn't mean a word of what he said about me in the text. They apparently hooked up during the time back in June because I was recovering from heartworm surgery and couldn't handle not having his D wet constantly. so Ali offered to sleep with him after he complained about it to her. I told him to shut up and dragged out a suitcase from the closet and told him to put whatever he can fit into. I told him that I'll pack the rest and ship to wherever he was staying. Robbie just nodded and started packing and then called his mom so he could stay at her place. I calmed down enough by the time he left to go stay at his mom's place, laid down for a nap, and confronting Ali over a text once I ate. I told her that I didn't care what her excuses were. She was a horrible sister who slept with my boyfriend at the first opportunity she got, and that she'd never see me again if I could help. Once Ali saw it, she sent me a barrage of texts similar to Robbie's boat earlier, confirming what he said about how the cheating started, and just making herself look worse. I blocked her. I eventually explained what happened to my dad, my mom, and my other sister, Taylor, 27 female. My dad and Taylor were horrified to hear what Ali had did to me, and said they would talk with her. My mom, however, confessed to admitting to knowing the affair was happening and letting it happen without telling me because Robbie treated your sister so well and that Ali was in love with him and deserved to be. Wait a minute, what? What type of mom is this? And what? Ali was in love with him and deserved to be after what happened with her ex. To be clear, Ali's ex was her college boyfriend. In the relationship, she effed up herself by trying to push him into an open relationship because she found one of their classmates hot. So the sister is a hot mess. I was so shocked by this that I didn't end up even speaking to my mom for a couple of days until she called me and begged for me to forgive Ali and made more excuses for my sister's behavior. This happened after I just sent the rest of Robbie's stuff to his mom, so it infuriated even me more than it typically would. Out of rage, I told my mom that I shouldn't have stopped her from unaliving herself 2 years ago, since she's so invested in defending my sister when I was the one who got betrayed. There was just silence on the other end for a few seconds, and then my mom hung up. My mom tried to unalive herself 2 years ago through cutting her wrist when she and my dad were majorly considering divorce, with my dad full out living in a different city than her. I had walked in on her right when she was about to do it and managed to get the knife out of her hand. My mom then spent some time in a mental health facility and attending therapy, which I ended up paying half for it, until she gained more financial stability. I stayed days at a time to comfort her and make sure she didn't hurt herself when she was feeling depressed. Now, my dad and sister have told me that even though what my mom did was horrible, I shouldn't have said that all the things to her. It felt good to say in the moment, but now I feel so itchy about it. I just want someone else's opinion on this. Honestly, I feel so bad for OP because with family like this and with a mother like this and with a sister like this and a boyfriend like this, when you have people like this in your life, who in God's green earth even needs, an enemy? Oh, I slept with your sister because, you had a open heart surgery and you were recovering and I needed some 5-minute sexual gratification. Oh, I slept with your boyfriend because you couldn't satisfy him since you were so sick to do it. Oh, honey, I'm so glad your sister finally found somebody who makes her happy, even though he's your boyfriend and she's sleeping with your boyfriend, even though you just had a heart surgery. But it doesn't matter. I'm so glad she found somebody that makes her happy. Yeah, I know how dumb that sounds. What?